So make sure you record. So as we get recording started and we are getting all of our tech issues out of the way, I just wanted to welcome you to this training on actually becoming a leader. And I'm Leslie Leondis, and I'm here with one of my team members, Peyton Brandon. Brandon, I can't even talk. And we're going to be talking about becoming a leader. And this training is a little personal to Peyton because we've had some talks around this internally about our leadership within our own firm. So we help get off the actually without them our business evolution system. So what we're going to be talking about today is one of the things that I have found is most people go from working corporate into their own business, and then they kind of start struggling with leadership, because leadership is something that is taught, and it is learned, and it is a continuous learning. So Peyton and I have had some conversations around a bit what a leader is. And a leader could be something even as if you have kids, like leading your kids to be a good person. That's leading. When you're a business owner, you have to lead not only your team, but your clients to get your desired outcome. And that's where a lot of business owners fail or struggle with, is actually leading their team. So I hear a lot of people say, I have a lot of turnover. I can't hire. Nobody wants to work. I can't get people to do what they're supposed to do. And a lot of times this is a leadership problem. And so, Peyton, what are some of your thoughts on just, we've had these conversations of leadership, and I do have all of you in leadership. What are some of your thoughts about it from a team member's perspective?
Well, the first time we had talked about leadership, well, not the first time, but whenever we talked about it personally, I guess I never saw myself as a leader, just because I didn't feel like I had the personality for it. But putting it in a different perspective, the way you did, relating it back to, personal and even helping other team members and stuff, like those are qualities of a leader. So now that I feel like I'm constantly being reminded, like, that's leadership. You're being a leader here, you're being a leader there. Now that I'm constantly reminded, I'm looking for those leadership qualities that I didn't see as leadership before that I do now. So it's a learning process, but it definitely showed me a different side for sure whenever you pointed it out.
And sometimes that's what it's about, is we go about our day and we just do what we need to do. And I know we use ClickUp for task management, and Peyton's always like, I got to get this done. I got to get this done. I got to get this done. And there's not a task that says be a leader. And so there's a task that says answer your client's questions. And so a lot of times she didn't even realize that she was being a leader by answering their questions. And so that's one of the things that we have taught in our firm, is empowering team members to be leaders. So an example last week with Megan is Lynn and I were out at a conference, and we had a big project that we needed Chelsea to work on. And I was like, hey, we need to remove some tasks from Chelsea. And Megan took it upon herself. Okay, I look at her ClickUp board, and she delegated a bunch of tasks, even though it wasn't necessarily her role. That was her portraying leadership skills. So empowering your team to have leadership skills helps move your business, but you have to have the leadership skills first. And Lynn and I have been doing a lot of John Maxwell training, and he talks about the levels of leadership and what level you're at. And if you're a level, and the highest level leader you are, people can't go above you. Most of the time they're below you. So if you're a level 5 leader, most of the time you're going to have level 4 leaders, because they have to get above you. Am I saying this right, Peyton? Because you've been doing the same training with me.
Yes.
So Lynn and I are always improving our leadership training, and anybody that's in our coaching program, we also teach a lot of leadership training, because that is what actual team members crave. So if you're having a lot of turnover, look at why. Is it because they're not engaged? They're not empowered. They really are just sitting there. And I'll use an example from one of my prior businesses, that are companies that I used to work for. I literally sat there all day long with nothing to do because nobody was leading me in what I needed to do. We didn't have a task management said, do this. And anytime I would ask for somebody for something to do, they would be like, oh, go do this. Okay, that took a whole 5 minutes. So then I would just continuously sit there. And what I found with working with our coaching clients, their team members are feeling exactly that same way, because they don't have the systems in place. They don't have the processes in place. They don't have the leadership in place. Well, I'm not saying that to overwhelm. It's just that is the truth. So you have to start somewhere. So, and Peyton, you started with us before we had a lot of this. We had a lot of systems, but we didn't have the task management system. So you were in that phase of, what do I do now? What do I do now? How do I do that? And so it frustrated you to actually keep having to ask all those questions. So because then you just felt like, for lack of better words, you're like, I'm a failure.
Mhm.
You want to talk about that some?
Oh man. So, yeah, I mean, in a nutshell, I guess I did feel like a failure because I was always depending on somebody else to like get with me and help me with whatever questions I had. And sometimes I still struggle with that. I have to be like, not necessarily knocked around, but they have to constantly, the team constantly has to remind me, um, this stuff, you just need to slow down, whatever the case is. But also the other girls that were here before me, I look at them for sure as leaders, no matter what. I mean, our relationship is really good, but I definitely have always looked up to them, because they lead me all the time, and of course y'all do. But I think with having ClickUp and everything like that in place now, because we didn't have all of that before whenever I started, it really gave a lot of clarity and also a peace of mind having those tasks and the processes and everything laid out for you, so you can constantly, you're learning and you're putting things in your brain, but not, completely just trying to remember them like they're in a place to store. um I don't even remember what your question was.
You're
Oh,
on the
how
right
I felt
track.
like a failure. Okay. um but yeah, I mean, I think a lot of it has to do with them providing me feedback as well. That helped my confidence and helped me not feel like such a failure. Or if I get into those little funky moods, they're real quick to point out, like, this stuff just like you did yesterday. The answer to this. Don't overthink it, things like that. So I think that that's huge in our firm for me personally as well, just because everybody has a good relationship outside of work too. But yeah, I think
And
that's it.
I do want to pick on something you said yesterday, about a thing yesterday. And then I could have easily, because you assigned me a task to answer that particular client. And yes, I could have easily answered the client, but what would that have taken away if I would have answered the client instead of you, because you knew the answer.
Oh yeah, first of all, it's not like what you need to be doing, right? Like, it was a moment, and it was a question, of course, I knew the answer to, but I guess it was just like the wording of it. And so since the wording was a little differently, the terminology, I was like, I instantly doubted myself. But once I looked into it, I understood more. I guess just learning how to communicate those things. In a different way, because clients don't always know the lingo and things like
Mm-hmm.
that. So explaining things, I was worried that I wasn't going to explain it correctly, or maybe that I was confusing our client, or, whatever the case is. So my first instinct was to get your feedback and your approval, But you told me like you know this stuff, just tell them this and this, like tell them what you know and what you're seeing. Um,
Mhm.
yeah, I mean, it instills a lot of confidence, and also to the client, we we know our stuff, right? Like it doesn't just have to be Leslie that answers the question. Like they know that they're going to get an answer regardless. And it
Mhm.
helps me personally grow and think of it differently too. Because it's like I know this stuff, I look at it all the time, but I guess I never like fully put it together
Yep.
until somebody asks.
Exactly.
So that
Exactly.
helps.
And then the clients are gaining confidence in the entire team and not
Mhm.
just me, because at at one point, and I know a lot of firm owners are in this same situation where they feel like they're the ones that have to answer clients all the time. But as a leader, I'm like, Peyton, you know this, you can answer this. And I think I even told you, because the IRS said so, to
Yeah.
answer it, because the client just kept coming back and coming back, and I'm like, it's because the IRS said so. Because then I, was showing Peyton talking her language.
Mhm.
It's there's no way of opting out of payroll taxes. This is just the way it is. And but I could have easily have answered the client, but then I was going to take away Peyton's leadership if I did that. And that's where I want our clients to be able to communicate with any of our team members, because of the fact I want to be able to step away, and I don't want to have the business continuously work around me. And that is what every business owner needs to do, because that was the key of getting me where I was working 80 hours a week down to 26, 30 hours a week. And now I'm able to do speaking events and all these other things because of it, the stuff that I am really, truly passionate about. But I see so many firm owners get stuck, and not just in the accounting industry, but every industry get stuck because of this lack of leadership. So we talked about how you felt like a failure when you first started. And a lot of people, that's how their team members feeling, and
Mhm.
they'll leave. They won't stay and grow like Peyton did. Peyton stayed and toughed it out with us and helped us build a better system, because she didn't realize at the time we were leading her to it. And she just didn't realize what we were doing. And that was the way of growing her. And we've had some conversations with you and Chelsea about moving up to the next level of work that you're doing, to take more off of Lynn's plate, to take more off of my plate. And I know that that scared both you and Chelsea, but both of y'all were like, we got this, we're ready for it. But that's because we empower you every single day. And you hit on this, that not only do I empower you, but the other team members also rally around you. How important is that for you, for your growth?
Oh, it's really important for me. I think it's important for anyone that's part of a team. Just because I can't tell you how many times like I felt frustrated and I would like talk to one of the girls and they're, you know what I mean? They're like, this. They'll talk to me like on a personal level too. And I mean, so many of them can relate, of course. But it really is mainly about those good, solid relationships in and outside of work. I mean, we can call each other out on our shit. We can cry with each other, and you know what I mean? It's all about relationships, and really it just comes down to oh, what's the word I'm looking for? I mean, they can all relate, right? I mean, at one point I felt like I was bothering them all the time and I couldn't go to them and I'm just like the new one. And, I'm probably just irritating the crap out of them with their questions and this, that, and the other. Um, but remembering that they also were where I am, and then also me having to remember I've been where, our newest hire, Alyssa, is. I've been in all of their shoes. We've all been in each other's shoes, really.
Mm-hmm.
So I think communicating that and talking about that is and reflecting on that too, because they talk about the stupid shit they've done. We talk about all the dumb shit we've done, and it makes it okay, like talking about it and laughing about it and never letting the person live it down. But the relationships to me are are important. I'm big on relationships, but I think it's definitely a must as far as a team goes. If not, it won't be good, pretty or good. It'll be
Mhm.
a lot of animosity and things. So I think us all being on the same page is really important.
And then, and in our team, we also cross train a lot. So like Peyton usually doesn't do these lives with us, but she's done 2 in a row. And so it's like being open to basically do anything in the firm, which is also a leadership thing that I have actually taught from the very beginning. Is like Lynn and I were both very aligned in the fact that everybody should be able to do everything in this firm and nothing be dependent on one person. And that's how we led the firm. So there's times that Peyton has to do marketing. She doesn't really like it, but she does it. And then there's times, and even Megan, who is our marketing and tech person, I was behind on something. She goes, just let me know if you need help. I'll do it. I know it's bookkeeping, but I'll do it if I have to, and that's about building, being a leader, to build the team culture, to build that this is what's expected. This We expect you to want to grow, and if you don't want to grow, you're off the bus, and they know this. So the people that are having turnover, it's like you've got to take time to build this. If you're having trouble hiring, Peyton just hit on a key thing. A lot of people are looking for relationships, because if you think about how many hours a day you're with your coworkers, whether it be virtually or in person, it's a lot of hours. Because I know how, we have team meetings, we help each other with stuff, we're communicating constantly in ClickUp. So those relationships are important. And that's what a lot of people are craving, and that's what a lot of people don't understand is they're just looking for worker bees, and that is not what people are actually looking for anymore. They're actually looking for something else, because we do spend so much time together. And so if you're wanting to develop your leadership skills, comment leadership below, and that way we can reach out to you, because we actually do have a leadership group where we go into all sorts of topics, from team, pricing, systems, processes, anything that the owner is struggling with. And this group is particularly for owners. And then we also have groups for managers and leaders or team members. So that way you can actually get help with them. And so these 3 groups actually go together quite nice, but you can just start working on yourself as a leader. And if you want that help, comment leadership below and we will reach out to you. So I hope this training was helpful all around leadership. And I hope to see you soon. Have a great rest of your day.